You've seen me rant about every update of every piece of software that like, oh, I know, I could be a highly paid software engineer. I've got it. Let's take all of the words that indicate what things do, but then change them into pictures and icons, but really simple icons. But then how can we make everything rounder? We already rounded the edges last time we did an update, but can we make them more round? People just really love circles. How many more circles can we put things? Can we take up more visual space whilst decreasing the information that we're providing or the access? How can we do that? How can we take up all of the visual space with nothing useful? Let's do that in our update, because that's going to be more intuitive and people are going to love it. Mm-hmm. Also, all of the features that you used to have, let's just hide them behind menus. But then you have to click like a monkey or a 5-year-old on anything in any way, or shake something, or do a hula twist, and then it will open up a menu, but only for really active users who have the brain of a monkey or a 5-year-old. Brilliant, ching, millions.
When you were talking about the curved edges, I had this flashback to my grandpa complaining about pickup trucks and how they at one point all became pregnant, his words.
Yeah.
That like before they had like jagged lines and edges and sharp, and those were pickup trucks. And then at some point they started getting softer and rounder and more curved, and he said all of them looked pregnant.
Yeah. I don't know why that's the thing, but it's like you can go back to like 98, 97, 2000, like all of the software updates. We know you're used to like opening a menu and it has words that we use words exactly to describe the thing. And like now you just have like squiggle dot shape. What is that? Is that collate? What does that mean?
You'll figure it out.
Don't get it. We're just trying to make this easier for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Also, it doesn't help that I'm like an auditory, like highly auditory person.
Can I transition into one of the movies?
Good
there's
Lord.
A quote from one of my favorite movies.
Yeah?
My favorite quote from this movie.
Okay.
We watched Wayne's World just recently.
Oh my jeez.
Because Faye had never seen it before.
Uh-huh.
And one of my favorite lines in that, Dana Carvey is fucking treasure. He is so wonderful in that movie. Every time he was on screen, Faye would giggle, just like, because he's so sweet. Like, Anyway, so there's one line in it when Rob Lowe's like evil character comes up and is like, well, we're going to have to make some changes to the show. And Dana Carvey's character, Garth, goes, change? We fear change. And like, as you were talking about Facebook, that's all I was hearing in my head. Change? We fear change.
Yes. Speaking of iconic duos, I watched Bill and Ted.
No spoilers.
Face the Music.
No spoilers. I've heard good things though.
That is one of those movies that are part of my early memories. So like Breakfast Club, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Pee Wee Herman is for like some of the early things that I would play outside. Young Guns, Back to the Future. So to like get to see what they do with the continuation of the story and have them just like drop fully back into I think the thing that just pleased me the most is, you know how Keanu's been just sort of made fun of his entire career for that's where his career started. Oh,
yes,
dude, right? That he just so dropped so earnestly back into that character and gave us this gift.
Yeah.
That is so bass player of him.
Yeah. Well, I do think he is a professional. Like, that's the thing, is he's gotten so much crap for being a bad actor. But I think we had this conversation about Devil's Advocate.
Right.
Where I was saying, I think that he actually can act. He chooses not to. Or more accurately, he chooses to act like a blank slate.
Yeah.
In most of his movies, because that's actually really hard to do. But the blank slate character is an a very specific archetype for action type movies, because you want your audience to be able to project themselves onto the protagonist.
Oh.
So you want an actor who's kind of like a wooden block to a certain extent. If they have too much character, like think about all those great, like they have charming and they have one-liners, but they don't have a lot of personality or weird quirks.
Sure.
Like, we'll make him vulnerable by making him drink, right? But he's not like really into collecting like figurines or something. Like they don't give him a personality beyond that, because all those little personality things make your audience go, oh, well, that's not like me. But yeah,
I think you might be onto something, because I'm thinking about The Rock, right?
Right.
And I'm like, that's totally me. But it's because I have so many and so much of these personalities going on that the quirkier and weirder, the more I relate to somebody. I'm like, oh, totally that. I would absolutely. Of course, I would be like The Rock and everything he's in, because fuck yeah. Right. And it's probably why in the instance where there are characters who are more clean slate, I have challenges with that, because I don't relate to not entirely having a perspective. But I have also had a lot of conversations this week about the ways in which men are not allowed to express emotions or feel them. They're cut off from their foreskin and then their emotions and then so many other things, right? And potentially that's the sort of the unaffected human is sort of an ideal. Even the Spock idea is a kind of ideal in men in action
I love where
films.
you're taking this. Completely agree.
So you can project your own personality onto a more blank slate Keanu, like in Speed. And I think he was not a blank slate in Constantine. I remember actually liking that movie.
Yeah, I do love that movie. I mean, in a like popcorny kind of way. And he wasn't as blank, but yeah, Speed, Point Break, Chain Reaction. Like there's some of these forgettable ones that a lot of people don't even remember he was in, where he's really forgettable, which is kind of, that's the thing. Who's the guy who played in Avatar? Right?
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You've never seen Avatar? Wow.
No, it's such a big commitment. And then you have to find out. Well, it's long, and then I have to find it. It probably is somewhere.
I think you'd like it. But that guy, okay, so he was in other stuff. He was in a movie called Phone Booth. He was in the Terminator Salvation movie. He was in a couple of other movies where the point is you don't even remember who that actor is. Like nobody does. Like the point is he's kind of invisible. And and I think there's actually an art to that. And I think Keanu is really good at that. And now he's sort of become this caricature of himself now. So he's been able to break out of that. But for the longest time, he was just this professional working actor who, it turns out, is super nice and busts his fucking ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that an archetype? When we talk about...
Oh, the blank slate? Is that what you mean?
Kind of. Is that... So I'm thinking about it. There are so many different versions of the action hero or the cop that just sort of like diligently goes about doing the next thing without emotions.
Yeah.
You know, the different firefighter, the different cops, and they're just like...
Yeah. You know what it makes me think of? I mean, so there's something about like long suffering, and the word stalwart comes to mind. That there's definitely something in that yang, like I'm going to do this and nothing's going to stop me. I mean, Die Hard, but he did have personality. He was not a blank slate.
No.
Which is one of the reasons that movie's so great, I think. But the thought that came to my mind was the Buddhist concept that the part of your mind that you experience yourself as subjectively is the observer.
Sure.
And that it isn't really the actual observer doesn't get angry. It doesn't feel love either. It's just this thing that's watching everything.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there is something about a character that gives that impression that they are this like, I have an intention and I'm going after that intention.
Right.
I mean, James Bond, like the Daniel
Fair.
Craig version of James Bond is so much this like Liam Neeson in Taken.
Sure. I was just thinking the Fallen, the Angel is Fallen, Angel is whatever that dude. I don't remember his name, but he's the, what do they call the security for the president?
Secret Service? Bodyguard?
That is 2 S's. I was like, the SS! And I'm like, that's different. What is it? Anyway, so the Secret Service guy.
You can't be the first person to have thought of that. But I have not thought of that until you just said it.
I'm like, wrong thing. No, SS, that's right.
Can we go on a very slight detour for a second? Do you know who Mitchell and Webb is? David Mitchell and I can't remember somebody Webb. They're a comedy duo, sort of like Hugh and Laurie, right? British comedy duo. They have this one bit where they're like in the trenches and they're Nazis and they're whatever their uniform has a skull on it. And they're like hiding, and then one of them, they're kind of in a lull, and one of them looks to the other one and he goes, "Hey, have you ever thought we might be the bad guys?" And he's like, "I mean, we do have black. We're wearing black with red, and there's a skull on our uniform, and it seems like that's not that." And he just goes on, and the two of them are like, "Well, no, maybe." It just made me think of it. The SS. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I think Mark Wahlberg has played a little bit blank slate in some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Jack Reacher, that version of the Tom Cruise character is a little bit more like that.
No, I was gonna say Tom Cruise. I think he's a good example because there's some examples where he has personality and he knows how to do that. Yeah. But like the Ethan Hunt character is nothing, right? There's very little there to his personality. I mean, he loves his wife, the ex-wife. Like that's all we know about him.
There's in personality that doesn't happen as much in like if you compare it to some of these other characters. Even Ben Affleck's the accountant, but Ben Affleck's the accountant is on the spectrum. So Ethan Hunt fails a lot in useful, just he like barely makes it, and he has these reactions to it that has some amount of personality.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking like character traits, like character development, individual, like we don't know his family, we don't know where it came from, we don't know what he likes, we don't know what his hobbies are beyond impossible missioning.
He can't pass his own Bechdel test.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah.
Oh, poor kitty.
Who else fits in that category? Because like Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Personality.
Not an entirely blank slate. Like there's a little bit of characterization there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paul Rudd, even Robert Downey Jr. I think with Thor, he was a blank slate until the third one.
Yeah.
He had a little bit of humor in Avengers and stuff like that. So it started to come out.
Yeah.
Like something about don't say anything about my brother. Well, he's adopted. Like those lines and stuff. Yeah, I do think this is an archetype, and I wonder if it just sort of boils down to this idea that like the pure yang is just the observer, that it doesn't have feelings. Like in a sense, like if your hero gets too angry, that's him being too affected by the situation. What you want is for him to be like, I'm upset. And then he makes a decision about what he's going to go and do. And then he goes and does it.
Right. Well, I'm just starting to think a few weeks back, maybe a month ago, I was having that I know that you've it's sort of characterized in like life resentment, a little bit of angst, a little bit of like something amazing happens and then the rest of life is not so good. Like the fall after these kinds of moments. So I was having one of these days where I'm just like, why do we life? I don't want to die in particular, but like, what the fuck? Why do we life? All this entropy, all this loss, hurt, challenges. And I kept like having that, like, this is the Sisyphean challenge of like, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Life, man. And so I'm wondering if this archetype is also connected to whatever this, it's not conscious and it's not even unconscious. I think it must be sort of like this, like, deeper, older, cellular, older than even reptilian brain, like this thing that continues to persist no matter fucking what, because there's some pearl of like, not just like, oh, Buddhist, it's all fascinating and interesting, but just this like thrust that even when we want to stop it, it won't. And it just keeps going forward. And so they keep making these movies to perpetuate this like inner deep, like, why am I not just napping for a month? It's all stupid. Why do we do it? Why do we show up to all of it?
So
Energizer Bunny, but not so.
I had an interpretation. I love this, where you're going with this. I had an interpretation of the movie Alien, which incidentally was one I wanted to talk about today as well. Mm-hmm. So good job giving me segues. I got this 2-hour-long documentary from this one guy named Rob Iger, who I really, really love his YouTube channel. He's obviously trained in hypnosis and NLP. I've actually corresponded with him before because I complimented him on his videos and then I bought some of his stuff. And which I think he might be the only person on YouTube I've ever personally corresponded with. I just messaged him and was like, I love this stuff and I can tell you've clearly been trained in NLP. And he likes to talk about like subliminal stuff. So in the Alien one, he does all this stuff about showing all the set design that looks like teeth and mouths. So like there's these super obvious scenes where they're walking into this hallway and it's a mouth that looks, it even has 2 sets of teeth to look exactly like the alien if you just turned it this direction.
Right.
And he's like all this subliminal stuff that just makes you uneasy and all these like hypnotic sounds and like subliminal heartbeats and different things that he points out. Anyway, so he, in a different video, like a lot of people have pointed out, that one of the core anxieties that movie plays on is rape, particularly male rape. So the idea of like being impregnated and something bursting out of you, right? Yeah, which is... But there's another one that I thought of. That in addition to that, I completely see that symbolism. There's another part of it, and it's something about the insect-like nature of this alien. Yeah. And I think that you said it's like older than reptilian, right? Yeah. And when I think about that, the only thing that falls into that category are like insects and bacteria. Like those are the next step up is vertebrates. So you end up with snakes at that point, reptilian brain. But insects have this kind of like, you can rip the thing apart and it will keep doing its job, right? It doesn't really give a shit because it's almost a computer. It's almost a robot. Like their nervous systems are so simple. And this thought, we don't like the alien because it reflects that part of us back to ourselves. Yeah. Did we talk about the Borg on this? I don't think we have talked about the Borg. I don't know if you're a Star Trek. Forever ago, like the Star Trek original series? No. Next Generation. That's where the Borg lives. Okay. Yeah. Then I would make an argument that the alien from Aliens and the Borg are the 2 greatest monster enemy. Maybe you could limit that to science fiction, but I would say in any movie ever, potentially. Okay. And I think the reason is because they both play on these aspects of ourselves that we find so repellent. One of them is this insect-like thing, just like don't care, must eat, kill, eat, kill, eat, kill, eat.
Move,
That's
keep
it.
moving.
And it's so simple and it's so vicious. But it's not even, it's like cool and impersonal. Like it doesn't even care because it doesn't see you as a thing.
Right.
You're just, The Borg, on the other hand, have a similar like something gone haywire. But with the Borg, it's like perfection. Like we're trying to assimilate and get better and get better and get better, but it never stops and asks the question, for what purpose?
Sure. So the Borg is a representation of like all of the scary versions of AI and robot and computing that is trying to like, I don't know, perfection and perfect life. And I don't know, that I've seen that a lot in other things.
Yeah, the Borg though does it so well because they have this, to me it's ambition. That's what it is.
Okay.
Like this is the problem with ambition when it goes haywire, is that it becomes this at any cost. And there's something so twisted about this, like they're organic and also biomechanoid, and their whole thing is we want unity. Everything must be the same. Like we will assimilate you and incorporate you, and then all of us will become one new thing together, and there will be homogeny, right? Everything will be the same. That is a very, we're talking about yang again. That's a very yang principle, is like diversity bad, sameness good. And the idea of like wanting to finish or complete is a very yang thing too, to like the scientific pursuit to break everything down to its tiniest component and then be done with it. That's like the ultimate goal of yang, is to finish and be like, and you were talking about that relentless, like I can't rest thing. That's the same thing. Like they're all tied together on this yang side. And when it goes evil, like you end up with alien Borg and stuff.
So in some sense, we don't know the motivation of the like insect ambition. It still has like a relentless drive and ambition.
No, but I think there it's just instinct. Like that's kind of what's so scary about it. But in a sense, yes, it's that same just like dogged pursuit.
Whew. That's all really creepy.
Well, but we got here because we were talking about heroes.
Sure.
And you were talking about how
blank slate version.
What?
Like the choice to have a hero that doesn't emote and just keeps doing the next thing and doing the next thing and making the next choice, and it just keeps going. And it gets more video gamey for us in these generations.
Yes.
Like I was talking about Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, and like he's in, I think, is he in India? He's in a place, I'm just gonna say, with a lot of brown people, and I'm only saying it like this because it got very video gamey. And then here's this giant white guy shooting all the brown people, like faceless, no character, and there's just unending flood of darkly tan humans just getting shot, and I'm like,
and then it's like, must get the key to open this door, and now we have to go to this next set piece of action sequences where I can kill people. I mean, I kind of felt like, even though I really loved them, the John Wick movies were, the first one was amazing. The second and third one to me felt like it definitely fell into that video game, get the high score.
But if we're talking about this like ambition and this relentless pursuit thing, and if we were talking about the way in which our art and media can impose philosophies and values, if we were talking about that, it's reminding me quite a lot about the video game that is our capitalism. And it's relentless pursuit for no end. Like, here's the funny joke about capitalism. Your princess is in another tower. There's no princess in any tower. You don't win anything. And you're stuck in someone else's game. And all of the people you think you're fighting and shooting and blocking and whatevering, they're in the game with you. They're just as fucked as you are. Anyway, so I was just thinking about this, like, this blank slate archetype person could also be something rooted in our cultural values of what's like required, that like hard work ethic.
Yeah.
And just do the next thing.
Yeah. Don't have any emotions. Like emotions are weak. Yep. And that, I mean, obviously that's toxic masculinity, but I mean, that still gets applied to women too. Like,
oh yeah. No, I mean, we have toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
We all have to heal that because that is the paradigm that we're supposed to aim for.
Yeah. Especially in a patriarchal society that says that's better than this. So then even if you are female, there's a part that's like, but I should be pursuing this. And if I'm going to get there in life, I have to be like this. And that archetype is broken.
Yeah. And I don't
know. Doesn't actually work.
I don't know if this fits in though. So the thing I watched most of last week was Winona Earp. And Winona Earp is based on a graphic novel, I believe. And so it's sort of Old West supernatural. Winona is the great granddaughter of Wyatt Earp. And in this world, Wyatt Earp is cursed. And all of the people that he killed with his peacemaker gun, they all come back to life. They go to hell and they come back to life every time the new Earp heir turns like 27 or 28 or something like that. So Winona has to now fight this old battle from her like Old West grandfather's baggage and issues. So there's that. And these things keep, you shoot them, they go to hell.
I like the generational curse metaphor there. That's great.
Generational curse metaphor.
Yeah.
She's a bit of the hot mess trope that's really popular in when females get to be heroes. I don't know if that's outside of the patriarchy or not, but here's what's fun. The show itself is really clever and goofy. She has maybe 2/3 the amount of one-liners and quips that are balls deep hilarious as Deadpool. And like, just, I'm not wearing the t-shirt, but the t-shirt is full of these ridiculous, amazing one-liners that can be said. And it's one of those shows that's made with a smaller budget. So they find really creative ways of using the same spaces, but taking you to different worlds and dimensions. And it's funny as fuck. And so here we've got somebody who is pretty emotional. Like, a lot of the people in this are emotional and they're doing this heroic thing. And on one hand, like, she's trapped. She has to do this kill the demons theme. It's not her choice. And it's really interesting to see how these people take on participating in this thing that wasn't their choice. I think it's a funny, goofy show. But I was thinking about, that is definitely not a blank slate character, this Winona. She's really hilarious. And she's surrounded by some quite adorable people, plus demons. Yeah. I don't know if it's inside or outside of the trope.
Well, the female protagonist, especially in like action oriented, like, I'm trying to think, is there more of the blank slate or less of it? And I don't actually know, because like,
I think there's just the hot mess version. So, okay. In my recent viewing, we've got Red Sparrow, which was a weird thing. Katniss
I don't even know if I would put, Katniss, that's more like it. Very blank slate. Rey Skywalker, blank slate.
Right.
Charlize Theron in like Atomic Blonde, blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
That was a John Wick like homage, so obviously that one's going to be that. I would even say, although we haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm guessing that the Black Widow is going to be pretty blank slate. Maybe they will finally give her some character in this one, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, she's a little bit more blank slate-ish. Although she, like, you can tell she cares deeply for her friends because she expresses it in action, but not necessarily. She expresses it in the emotion of, I'm not showing emotion because I can't fall apart.
That's exactly it. Yes.
That's how she says, I can't right now. She like will literally say how she can't emotion. And I'm like, well, but could you? What's her nut? Okay. There's the robot and then the Guardians of the Galaxy with the hair, the love interest. She is also blank slate. Gamora. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she has one defining trait that it's basically, I hate my dad.
Oh, she hates her dad.
Like my dad was very bad and mean to me.
Her sister, who's full of all the other robotic pieces, has way more emotions.
Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. That's a good point. But villains are the interesting characters in stories anyway. Usually, because they actually have something going on. They have an opinion. They have. I'm trying to think other female action. I mean. What's the movie with Gina Carano that you and I both really love?
Oh, eek, ha ha,
Channing Tatum, high wire, no, not high wire, haywire.
Yeah, did she have emotions? I don't remember.
No, not even close.
Also, I don't know. There's this amazing Zoe Bell movie, Angel of Death. Holy crap! If you have not seen it, that's amazing. It starts with she gets stabbed in the head, and then doesn't die, and then she has to go fight, kill, figure out why she's been stabbed in the head and what the heck happened and why people are trying to kill her.
I just had one that popped in my head,
but maybe it's TV shows. Maybe it's TV shows that have this like female hero where they get to have emotions because you get to like go into the character longer over episodes. So Lost Girl, Bo has emotions and a whole lot of stuff. She and her sidekick partner are sort of hot messes-ish, kind of. There's a lot going on emotionally. Bad decisions happen. Stumptown is the new one with Sometimes I Know Her Name. She's in the second Jack Reacher, and she's in Avengers.
Avengers.
She's awesome. Yeah, she's the agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. that's only in the movies.
Oh, she was also in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. Sometimes I Know Her Name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, she's in Stumptown. There's definitely this version of the female hero where they drink a lot and they have a lot of sex.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jessica Jones comes to mind.
Right. That's their coping mechanism. The lots of drinking and happenstantially beating the bad guys, but usually showing up very hungover and reticent.
And that's what other character traits are. I mean, not that I'm saying this is much different for guys, because it's typically he's either like a Boy Scout or he's a drunk. Like you basically have Captain America and Iron Man, and those are all action movies. Like those are the only like you said Constantine wasn't a blank slate, but he was just a drunk character.
Yeah, he's just drunk and angry.
He has baggage, right?
Resentful.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the baggage hero. Yeah.
But this is where I would say someone like
it's shit show or no show.
It's good. This is where I would say someone like Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy is actually a little bit more interesting. And even like Deadpool is very like genre breaking in a sense, because he's just quippy and he doesn't give a shit about really much.
Yeah.
That's interesting. There's a little bit going on there.
I suppose I have not seen Cobra Kai yet. I'm going to. I also have that shirt and I'm not wearing it. Ralph Macchio in The Karate Kid is not a blank slate, nor does he have like a personality. He sorry, he sort of plays the Anakin. Is it Anakin Skywalker? The like, I'm gonna say it. I'm from the 80s. I know it's not. Let's just put me back there where he plays the whining, crying girl character. That's also Frodo. That is a version of the male hero where they're just. But I know that's not girls whining and crying.
Yeah.
Most girls
did
have.
Did you see The Boys? Did we talk about that?
The Boys. Oh, have you seen the new season?
No, I've only seen not out yet.
First. Oh shit! It's coming soon, right?
It's coming very soon. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So did you see the first one?
Yes.
Okay. So the protagonist, the main character, whose name escapes me.
Yeah.
But did you know that that actor is the son of one of the Quaids and Meg Ryan?
The person that's small that got big.
Yeah. And now he's a fabulous actor. I love him in that role. He's so good.
God damn.
Anyway, yeah, he's definitely that. I guess it's reluctant hero. That I mean, Luke Skywalker was that, but then he transitioned into embracing the role.
There's a curmudgeon reluctant hero, but then there's the whiny reluctant hero.
Yeah, there's I'm too old for this shit. Like curmudgeonly hero.
And sometimes that's the one that's drinking.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones. Who is there one where there's like the earnest chipper? I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy was kind of here because he really wanted to be a hero who wakes up and I'm eating my Wheaties because I love it. I want to do this thing. Yes.
Yeah, he has the baggage of mom died and I'm very sad about it, but he's mostly very up and chipper.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Rudd's pretty plucky, like Ant-Man.
Was he excited to be a hero? He was kind of mostly a screw up. And then trying to figure out how to not be a screw up.
Yeah, but I also think he embraced it in the sense that he knew his little girl liked it and he was leaning into it. And he's like, yeah, it is pretty cool.
I'm having a flash of a fire movie. Kurt Russell.
Oh, Backdraft.
Yeah.
He was sad because something happened, right? Yeah. I think somebody died and it was on his watch and he was very sad about it. Yeah. He was basically the same character that he played in Stargate where he was sad because his son had died and Can
we just take a moment just to imagine if Kurt Russell and Meg Ryan had made people?
Kurt Russell and Meg Ryan.
Yeah, I was just thinking earlier to myself with you that Dennis and of course Meg, they can make people. And I don't know if Dennis is Randy. They always look like they should have the other name.
One of them is completely crazy. I don't know if you knew that.
I'm not sure if we can pick though.
No, one of them is on YouTube claiming that aliens are running the government and shit.
Which is only crazy if it's not true.
True.
What do we know? So, no, I just was like, oh, Meg Ryan, the numbers of times that I've imagined her making people or having sex with just about any of the people you can imagine her. Like back in the day, we were like, Meg Ryan was an archetype of romantic comedy. I
think I was a little too young to give a crap. She was never like a sex object to me.
Yeah, she's not actually a sex object so much as a
sex symbol is the word I meant.
Yeah, no. That's not
she was America's sweetheart, right?
That Everybody is not a sex symbol though.
Mm.
America's sweetheart is not the woman you fuck, it's the one you take home to your family and marry.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Fair enough.
Because she's not Sharon Stone. Same.
All right. No, you're right.
Generation.
You're right. Yeah, that makes sense. So I was thinking
she's a cuddle.
So I guess she wasn't a sex symbol for anybody.
Yeah, but you could imagine her being the mom of someone eventually. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I would so make her have my children and feed them. Is that a fantasy?
I'm just gonna let that one sit for a little while because it's really awkward.
Yeah, but Kurt Russell, okay. Kurt Russell, here's a weird movie that's sexy and unexpected. Silkwood, have you seen it?
No. Wait. No. Is it a Western?
No. It's Meryl Streep, Kurt Russell, and Cher living in this, like, they work in this factory town, and I think there's some sort of like radioactive meltdown or something that happens. I don't know why. It's just it's like a hot movie. It's a little sweaty, and for some reason, everybody's really fucking sexy in that movie.
Wow.
And I can't remember
older?
who's having sex with who. It is older. I think
Okay.
Is it 78, 82? Older. It's older. Silkwood.
I have not even heard of this, I don't think.
I went through
Meryl Streep and Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I went through a phase where people drink. There are people who drink, and I did drink, and then I became a person who stopped drinking. But there are these times when, like, consoling oneself, I would get in states where the only thing that could have me feel better was looking at videos of Meryl Streep in interviews, or like just on YouTube. This is back in like 2007 through 10 or so. Or Marilyn Ricecub, she was the Chloe in 24. I would watch Marilyn Ricecub interviews on late night shows and stuff because they're both hilarious and adorable or whatnot. So then I started watching all of the old Meryl Streep movies, like Out of Africa, Silkwood, this really weird thing with Robert De Niro where I discovered, oh my God, Robert De Niro is a horrifyingly unattractive kisser. And they discovered it too in that movie.
Wait, is that the one where he punches the pane glass window?
Nah, I don't know.
Because I think that was Meryl Streep. I could be
They
wrong.
met on a train. They meet on a train and they have an affair. And it's the worst on-screen kissing I've ever seen. And then I've never seen De Niro kissing anyone ever since in any movie since then. Hilariously, even he's in this movie where he's a producer, he's a Hollywood producer, and his ex-wife is Téa Leoni, and they have a scene where they talk, and then it seems like they would kiss and then have sex, and then they just somehow, with one of the coolest actors in the world, don't do any of the kissing or the sexing. They just go from the scene, cut, out of bed. Wow, that must have been wonderful. I think you should just go back. We should figure out what the fuck this movie is called and watch it. Because it was like in sex. It's the way in which sometimes sex is like, ew, why? No, why would anyone do that? Is how their kiss went. Whew, De Niro, awful kisser. I might be willing to say that to his face.
You're a terrible kisser.
Is this, I feel like I came across this secret and then everybody knows it, but no one talks about it out loud. Is this true? Also, I hear you're great at charades.
That's very specific too.
People who love you call you Bobby, but we've just met.
I had one more thing on Wayne's World. If you want to just also,
Yeah.
Did you know that we never opened the show?
Oh my gosh. This is the
Let's
show.
do it at the end.
Perfect.
Okay. So Wayne's World. Prevailing thought, it was delightful. It's very weird. Like it like more so than I remember, and I've seen it quite a bit, but I hadn't seen it in a while. And I guess I've learned more about story structure and the formula for movies, and I'm like, wow, this is strange. But the one thing that I was really taken by is this movie predicted YouTube.
Ooh.
That's what it is. The whole movie is based up on these two guys in a basement who happen to get their own TV show. And it's so weird. And everybody's like, I don't know what this is, but I can't stop watching it. And then right after the opening scene where they're like, the camera is moving around their little studio in their basement, then they start doing direct to camera shit. Right. Where they're narrating what's going on, and they're like, hi, my name's Wayne and I live in something, Indiana. I don't remember, Illinois or whatever. Yeah, because they're in Chicago. they get like the weird show, the quirky, like, what is this? People like this. And then on top of that, the movie itself has all this like direct to camera, like turning and like talking and being like, oh, she will be mine, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this movie, it predicted YouTube in the sense that the fact that this movie was a cult classic or became a cult classic validates that there is an audience for this kind of thing, and it's so much YouTube.
Did you, because you were on a tree farm during this, did you not have cable access? Because cable access was a thing. So their show is cable. So which still exists. Everyone back in the 80s and 90s had the opportunity to go to their local cable channels had studios where you could create any fucking show you wanted to. And so people did. So they would create in the basement, or they put set pieces in the studio. I used to watch on cable access. I remember there was I'm going to say a Russian woman. I don't know, Eastern Bloc, a Russian woman who was showing bidet attachments for your tub. It's very fascinating. Older, plump lady. Also, there were they would show the dance club, like the all ages dance club had its own show downtown, the city, and all these other weird ass shows that you could just do for free if you took the like 2-hour weekend workshop of how to move the knobs and turn the things, and they'll just hand you cameras.
The only point that I'll make is that back then, because I knew that sort of thing existed, even though I didn't watch it. Back then, that was like weirdos. First of all, they were weirdos doing it, and people who watched it were also weirdos. Like, what? Why are you watching this? This is so stupid.
There was a point
what
where
I'm
nothing
saying
was
is, what?
There was a point in television where nothing was on, like after the news at 10.
And then you end up on this. Right. Yeah. But my point is that Wayne's World, sort of the premise of the show is that they're like, this thing is really silly and weird, but people seem to like it. So then the big evil corporation comes in and tries to buy up their show.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, this was predicting that YouTube is not just a fringe thing, or that these cable access things were not just a fringe for weirdos by weirdos.
Yeah.
That everybody's weirdos, in a sense. That YouTube was like, oh no, everybody wants to watch people doing this stuff, and way more people want to make it than was ever hinted at by the cable access thing.
That is fair. Yeah, my first band, Tuesday's Taken, we kept joking that we would have just crazy shit happen in our lives as we were trying to book our band and like hang out with people and network and move around. It was like, this should be in our documentary, because like documentaries were becoming a thing. Madonna had hers, and Real World was a thing,
right?
And behind the scenes stuff. And it's like, Murr and I have joked that like, if we had cell phones in our camera, our band probably would have been actually known and had like a channel and people following us and known more for that and our shenanigans than our actual music. And I was like, would have been ridiculously useful to us at the time.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we're coming up on time here. We did talk about movies pretty much the entire time time. So I would count that as a win.
Look at us. We did the thing. Welcome to Enlightened Couch Potato. I've been Adrianne Gunn.
And I'm Nicholas Rave, and I might copy paste this to the beginning of the video, or screw it, we'll just see it.
TV deeply. What is
Have fun, everyone. We'll see you next week, maybe.
All right, thanks for being here.
Bye.